CNHS.
Hello, everyone. It's 7 o'clock, so we're going to get started. Thanks so much for joining this evening. This is the pre-advising meeting for the College of Nursing and Health Sciences. I'm Tammy Bender, and I'm the Assistant Dean of Student Services for the College of Nursing and Health Sciences, so I oversee the Academic Advising Office. Here we're going to just go over the agenda really quickly. This is what we're going to be discussing for about the next 30 minutes or so. As you can see, we do leave plenty of time for a Q&A session at the end. So please feel free to use the chat if you'd like to, put out questions that come up as we're going through the presentation. I'm going to be available for Q&A at the end, but we're also going to have Dylan Ryman available in the chat to answer questions as we go along. So you don't need to hold your questions. You can just put them in the chat as you think of them. And then anything that isn't answered in the chat by the end, I will go through at the end for a Q&A. Okay, so first off, I'd just like to put a face to a name with your academic advisor. So all incoming students in the College of Nursing and Health Sciences are going to be assigned to one of 3 academic advisors in our office. So from left to right, we have Alice Russell, Rachel Napolin, and Dylan Ryman. So when you see those names, just know those are our academic advisors. And for those of you who came to an admitted student visit day, we may be familiar to you already because we were all there. So the role of the academic advisor is really to help you to register for courses, but also, so much more than that, answering questions about transfer credit, AP credit, Catamount Core, which is UVM's term for general education requirements, your degree requirements for your majors, of course, whether to add a minor, travel study opportunities. So the first time you're going to get to meet your academic advisor one-on-one is going to be in that remote course registration appointment that's in June and July. But you're also going to be assigned to them for your first year of college. So this is just that introductory meeting, and then we get to see you all in person in August. Okay, so up until now, you've probably been receiving most of your communication through your admissions portal and your personal email. So it could have been like your Gmail or your high school email. Now that you're officially starting as a UVM student, there's some new ways to communicate, and you've probably already seen them on your new student checklist. So first off, your academic advisors and faculty are only going to have access to your UVM email address. So it's just important to begin checking that now. This is where all future important communications are going to be sent. And so, and the admissions level, they have access to your Gmail and your personal email, but we won't be able to see that. So start checking your UVM email over the summer and just keep an eye on it. And then we can, stay in touch basically. The My UVM student portal is where you log in with your UVM net ID and password. That's where you can update your personal information, your mailing address. It's where you register for classes. It's where you check your grades, view your course schedule, see where your classrooms are located. It has many other functions as well. So this student portal is going to become more useful to you once the semester gets started. But for now, just make sure you know your net ID and password and you have access to it. I'm sure a lot of people have been poking around everywhere, and that's great. But just know that if you haven't, you made a lot of use of it yet, once school gets started, that's when it really picks up and you're going to need that MyUVM portal. It is different than your admissions portal. It's going to be your student portal with all of your UVM attachments. There are two video conferencing applications that you're going to need, and this is one of them. You're on it right now, so congratulations, you've already done it. The first is Microsoft Teams, and that's required for all UVM students. It's a common way to connect remotely whenever it becomes necessary. And sometimes your instructors will even ask you to do a Teams call. If somebody is out sick, that, it's a great way to stay in communication. The second application is Zoom, and this is required specifically for students in the College of Nursing and Health Sciences. This is the platform that is most widely used by your instructors, specifically in the College of Nursing and Health Sciences, and also your academic advisors. Your summer course registration appointment that's going to take place in June or July, that's going to be on Zoom. So I would just, recommend becoming familiar with those and making sure that you have access to both Microsoft Teams and Zoom and that they're readily available on your college laptop. Brightspace is the UVM learning platform. It's also linked on my UVM. It's on your student portal. And all you need to log into it is that NetID and password. That's going to become a theme. The NetID and password, it's your portal to UVM essentially. That's how you log into Brightspace. And this is where your instructors will upload the class syllabus and any assignments that need to be turned in electronically. So you're going to begin seeing information added to Brightspace closer to the start of the semester. If you click on it right now and nothing's there, it doesn't mean anything is wrong. It just means the semester hasn't started yet. I do recommend clicking around and just making sure you have access to everything. But don't worry if you're not seeing anything there until around mid-August. This is also where your list of required textbooks are going to become available. Again, that's a little later in the summer, but just telling you like what the uses are for all these different portals. Okay, next up, the Navigate 360 app is something that you can add to your phone as an app, or you can actually go into just like using it from your browser as well. I kind of like the app. I'd recommend getting it in advance if you're comfortable with adding the app to your phone, just because I think it's really convenient and it sends you some notifications. This is what's going to allow you to make appointments with certain offices on campus. So some of them are like our office, but also support services like the tutoring center. This is how you'll register for your course registration appointment. So you're going to get to test it out even before you get on campus. And then, just becoming familiar with it is helpful because, when you get into the semester, if you do need to use it because you want to set up a tutoring appointment, just knowing it exists and where to go and where to click and where to look is really like the first step. You can find the link to download this app on the orientation website, and it's on the new student checklist. So some of you may have already gotten it. The ZME app is also on the orientation website. This is the official UVM social media platform for admitted and incoming students. So if you're looking to start talking to any other students in your major before you even get to campus, you can give this one a try. Again, some of you have probably already been checking that out. And there's also lots of other different social media. This is just kind of our snapshot of, recommendations of where to start and kind of the biggies. But of course, there's lots of different places you can look. UVM has official like social media websites, and then the College of Nursing and Health Sciences also does. Like if you like using Instagram, we're on there. But the official UVM ones, those are what's listed right here. Okay, so getting into course registration. So that's really what this whole meeting is prepping you for, is what you need to know before you have that one-on-one individual course registration appointment. So you're going to meet on Zoom with an academic advisor to finalize your fall course schedule. These are going to be one-on-one meetings for course registration, and that's just going to be you and your academic advisor in our office. These appointments take place between June 9th and July 3rd. And I would say there's really no huge advantage to, which registration appointment you get. They release courses slowly throughout the summer. So it's not like if you don't get a June 9th appointment, all the classes are going to be gone. Like truly, if you get an appointment between June 9th and July 3rd, you're really in good shape. After July 3rd, it's still possible to make appointments with us, but they have to have, all of your paperwork in order to do something after July 3rd. So if you end up, saying like I'm on vacation for a large portion of that time and I really need to book later in July, we can make it work. There's just like a couple extra things to check off because they start having due dates closer to that July 3rd deadline. And so there might be some things that we have to look at first before we can get registered outside of that window. But just talk to us if that time frame is at all an issue. And we'll always work with you. So come Thursday, an email is going to be sent out to your UVM email address. And that's when you're going to be able to sign up for one of these appointments. So it's not live yet. You haven't missed anything. We're telling you about it now because it's still upcoming. You're going to be able to pick the day and time that works best for you. And so when you get that email on Thursday, it's going to give you a link. You click the link on that Navigate portal, and it's going to show you all the available time slots that you can book between June 9th and July 3rd. And you just pick one that you're able to make. If you've already been clicking around your MyUVM student portal, you might have noticed that a few classes were already preloaded onto your schedule. These are just to hold spots in particular classes. You're going to have the opportunity to review and make changes to these courses when you meet with your advisor to finalize everything in your fall schedule. So if you're looking at it and you're like, confused by something, just know that these are just, holding spots in classes that are required for certain majors, and you're going to be adjusting things around. This course registration also, it's not the only time we're going to be in contact. It's not the only time you can talk to us. We know that many of you are waiting on your AP scores and transfer credit that could be coming later in the summer and impacting your fall schedule. So we're going to be available later in the summer as well if you need to make any tweaks and changes outside of this course registration appointment. Okay, so right now you will see a registration hold on your account before your appointment. So everybody has it. If you're seeing that hold, nothing is wrong. That is normal. It's going to be listed as OR New Student Registration Hold. Again, this is normal. It's been added to all incoming students at UVM. So this hold will be removed when you meet with your academic advisor, and that's going to allow you to adjust your fall course schedule. So registration hold prevents you from making changes to your course schedule. You'll be able to update your schedule during that course registration appointment, the one that you sign up for, and then the hold gets added back to your account until all students have had their chance to register for classes. So you know how I said any time between that June 9th and July 3rd really is fine. It's because you all just have that time you register for to make changes to your schedule until after July 3rd, and then it becomes open again. So after July 7th, after the holiday weekend, there's no longer going to be a hold on your account at all that prevents you from changing your classes. It is still important to talk to an academic advisor before changing your schedule, though, especially for majors in the College of Nursing and Health Sciences. A lot of them have strict requirements and sequencing, and we don't want you dropping a course that's a graduation requirement. So just be sure that if it's outside of that window to be in contact with us. If you're still adjusting things, in August before the semester starts and swapping electives around or the specific timing of a lab, like that's fine. I just always recommend talking to us first just so that we can double check everything and make sure it still looks good. Okay. So if you completed dual enrollment or AP credit during high school, you may have an opportunity to receive college credit for these classes. Dual enrollment credit typically requires a grade of C or better. UVM does accept classes that were completed at community colleges, and they may be able to check off degree requirements if they're a direct equivalent. For example, let's say you're part of the exercise science major and you're required to take an intro to psychology class in your first year, but you already completed a college level psychology class as dual enrollment. You can have the official transcript sent to UVM for it to be reviewed. The official transcript has to be sent by the college or university where you completed the course to transfer@uvm.edu. And then once UVM Transfer Affairs has reviewed the course, it'll automatically be accepted by your new major if it transfers in as an equivalent. So exercise science requires Psych 1400 at UVM. If Transfer Affairs says that the one you took is an equivalent to Psych 1400, the UVM course code, then it's accepted by your major. Similarly, if you got a 4 or 5 on AP Psychology exam, you receive credit for Psych 1400, and that would mean you wouldn't have to take the Intro to Psychology class here in your first year. And this means that you might be able to take an extra elective class. You might just have a lighter load in your first year. You could be making room to fit in a prerequisite for grad school that you want to take, or just take a different degree requirement a semester early. So I recommend that, if you're bringing in any AP credit or transfer credit, to just kind of discuss the options during that course registration appointment on, what would be the best fit for you and your circumstances, and especially your specific major. Um, if you've already selected UVM as a recipient for your AP scores, we may have actually already received them and processed any exam scores that are from before your senior year. So you could already be seeing some of these on your UVM record. If you took AP classes during your senior year, we're not going to get them until around mid to late July is usually when they all get processed. So if you selected UVM as a recipient, they'll automatically be coming to us. But if you didn't, you can still just have them sent to us by logging into your College Board account and sending them to us directly. Hi, super fun summer placement exams. You've probably all seen these on your new student checklist, and you have two different ones that are linked there. The first is the Alex Math Placement Exam. This is only required for students who will be taking calculus in the first year. There's no placement exam required for statistics. That math placement is just for calculus. We do have two majors that require calculus, and that's medical laboratory science and medical radiation science, also sometimes called radiation therapy or biomedical and clinical sciences. So if you're part of either of those majors, medical lab science or medical radiation, you do need to complete the Alex Math Placement unless you've already received college credit for a calculus class. I recommend taking it at least a day before your course registration appointment. So whatever day you're assigned to register for courses through June 9th or July 3rd, at least a day beforehand. And that's because the system updates overnight. And so if you get the math placement score on a Monday, you'd be allowed to sign up for a calculus class on a Tuesday. Uh, no other CNHS majors have to take the Alex Math Placement unless you'd like to take calculus as an elective, um, which would surprise me if many people did. But if you do just find math really interesting and you want to take it as an elective, you still can take the Math Placement exam. Or if you're in a major and you want to take calculus as a pre-med requirement. So for example, if you're in public health, the public health sciences major doesn't require calculus. You don't have to take the math placement. But if you're in public health sciences and you want to be on the pre-med track, pre-med often wants you to have calculus depending on the school. And so you might want to take it just to get the calculus credit. No students in the College of Nursing and Health Sciences are required to take the foreign language placement before course registration. There's no language requirement in our majors, except for the Communication Sciences and Disorders major, which doesn't require it in the first year. You can take it in the first year, but most students take it in their second year. And so it's recommended for CSD students if you'd like to see your placement level in Spanish or French and take it in your first semester, but not required of anyone because none of our majors required in the first year and only CSD requires it at all. Okay. So FERPA is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, and these are federal regulations that protect student privacy. And essentially, what this means is that once a student starts college, if they're above the age of 18, their educational records are private unless they give us specific permission to share information with family members. There is a waiver on the registrar's office webpage that allows the student to share information with their parents. It's called the FERPA Rights Disclosure Form. It's different from the proxy form that's for financial information. So I know that is commonly filled out before the semester starts, and sometimes people think that because they filled out the proxy form, it covers FERPA as well. The federal guidelines are really strict on this, and they have to be separate forms. So my general recommendation is just that all students talk to their parents about this before the semester starts. Like have the conversation now about how you plan to handle like the FERPA regulations and privacy, what information that you'd be fine just sharing personally and discussing with your family, or if there's any access you'd like to allow them. And this is something that if you'd like to fill it out and you'd like to share access to your records, you can just send us the FERPA disclosure form at any point, and it can also be revoked at any point. So grade requirements. I do just want to briefly touch on the fact that every major does have academic standards that are set by their department. This is an overview up on the screen. And these are the GPA and course requirements you need to stay in good academic standing. The full details on the academic requirements for each major are in our handbook, the undergraduate handbook, that's also going to be emailed out early next week. I'd recommend reviewing it before your course registration appointment. If there's anything confusing to you, that'll give you a chance to ask questions with your advisor. And I'm definitely not showing this to like worry anybody. If anything, I just want you to be aware of what the requirements are and somewhat reassured. As you can see, I know our majors are competitive and they have higher academic standards than some of the other colleges, but none of them are requiring that you get all A's every semester. Good academic standing is between a 2.3 or a 2.8, depending on your major, and grades of C or better in your professional courses. And again, that undergraduate handbook is going to be sent out to everyone next week. So you're going to have a copy of it before your meeting with your academic advisor. And I just recommend finding time to look through it and review the handbook before your course registration appointment so you can bring up any questions then. The handbook covers the grade requirements and the academic standards in more detail, but it also just gives details on the essential functions, the clinical requirements for each major. Essential functions differ from academic standards because they refer to the criteria for behavior and sometimes conduct that must be demonstrated by students in professional programs, including the code of ethics. Uh, this does include academic integrity. UVM's academic integrity policy is, built on a system of trust that students aren't going to plagiarize and cheat on assignments and exams. And then violations of academic integrity policy could result in academic consequences. These range from smaller, like a 0 on the specific assignment, but can go up to failure of the entire course. Um, Again, not trying to scare anybody before the semester starts. It's just a good idea to understand all the policies because they do sometimes differ between high school and college. And it just kind of gives you solid ground to understand what's expected of you. It's also going to talk about conduct violations. If you're found to no longer meet the ethical requirements of a program, not trying to be alarming, just want you to be fully aware of these policies because, programs with clinical requirements are putting patients in your hands, usually by your sophomore, junior year, depending on your major. And so they do take them seriously. Um, okay, so to wrap it all up, what you need to know before your course registration appointment, I'd recommend preparing a list of all the dual enrollment and AP coursework you've completed. You might not know your AP exams yet. You might not have all of your transfer credits sent in yet. That's completely fine. There's still plenty of time to get all of that done over the summer. But if you just bring the list of what you've completed, that's a really helpful starting point so that your academic advisor knows what you may be getting credit for and what you have experience with. Um, if you've done an AP class, but you chose not to take the exam, still bring it up just so that we're aware of what you've completed at the college level, even if you're not expecting to get credit for it. Make sure you're going to have access to your UVM email and my UVM student portal at that course registration meeting. Um, you're going to need to use that during the course registration meeting. And so just make sure you've got access to it. You don't have to know everything about how to use it. We'll walk you through it. As long as you're able to get into it during the meeting, you're good to go. If you can, I'd recommend adding the My Courses card to the MyUVM main page. When you go to the MyUVM page, you'll see a bunch of little cards listed there. If you don't see My Courses, you just scroll down to the very, very bottom and hit Discover More, and that lets you add other cards to your page. My Courses is what you're going to need to register for classes. And so just getting that ready to go in advance is helpful and just saves a little bit of time during the meeting. Again, if this is confusing, we're going to walk you through it. So don't panic if you can't find it. But if you're already poking around, just bringing that up to the top of the page would be helpful. Um, Try and log on to the Zoom call for course registration from somewhere that has good internet connection and that you're able to share your screen. I know, life happens if you end up doing the call like from your phone in your car because that's just what you have to do. We understand. We're still going to try and work you through the whole process, but it is a lot easier if you're able to like be on a laptop where you can share what you're looking at with us so that we can troubleshoot any issues. So if you can do it on a laptop instead of your phone, that's helpful. But again, we understand life happens and we're always going to try and work through the process. And then the last thing I'd recommend is bring a list of questions. The course registration appointment is 30 minutes one-on-one with your advisor. And like it's really easy to forget in the moment, when you get excited adding all your classes, the other things you wanted to bring up. So I would just recommend kind of coming prepared with that list of AP and dual enrollment courses, questions you want to make sure you have time to talk through together. And then in terms of access, just make sure you can access your UVM email and my UVM student portal, both of those with your NetID and password. And if you have time, add that My Courses card to your my UVM main page. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen and stop recording so that you can feel comfortable asking questions. So bear with me one moment.